All right, welcome to episode 81 of Random Thoughts. So I thought today it's the start of spring, daylight savings has kicked in.
How good was it last night in the gym? Everyone was like, what time is it? I was like, 7:30. And they're like, no.
It just feels so much better.
So good.
I love it. I thought we could talk about, one of the things that happens in spring is that people suddenly realise that summer's coming, and there is what I used to call, the Bikini Panic, and that's a male or female thing. It's either, but it's that, oh my God, got to get ready for summer. And people all of a sudden start talking about probably my top 5 most hated misconception.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. It's pretty deep and ingrained in people too, this one.
Yeah, spot reduction. The idea that to get a lean, toned midsection, you should do thousands of crunches.
Or ab wheels, or like those things on Daniel's direct ads.
Yeah.
We had hard rubbish here in Oakley not that long ago. And it was amazing how many of those, like the rotating one and the vibrating plates and things like that.
Wouldn't it have been nice to have done a montage?
It's good. Get like a collage of all of them.
Yeah.
Don't waste your money.
Do not waste your money. So spot reduction. So for some people this is going to be really obvious, and for you guys, maybe tune out this.
Or maybe share it with your friends that you're trying to explain it to would be a good idea.
Yeah. But it's amazing how around the spot reduction thing, how much people can be arsehole about it. Because they'll ask you about it, you give them the answer.
And explain why it's not a thing.
And then they'll go, yeah, gotcha, pooah. But by the way, what type of ab exercise should I do? It's like, no, we just spent 10 minutes.
You go round and round in circles.
So let's lay out the myth first.
Explain what it is and the concept,
and the business model behind the myth. And then we'll talk about the real world.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So the myth is that if you have fat, and it's typically a tummy thing, but it can be applied to thighs or hips
and arms too. People talk about tuck shove arms and stuff like that too.
They do. And so the myth is that...
actually, on that as well, for the male population, it tends to be as much about spot increases as it is about spot reduction.
Yeah.
They think about, well, I want big arms, so I'll just do bicep curls and forget about the entire system. So a lot of people tend to worry about spot reduction of body fat and then also spot increases of muscle mass.
But that's confusing because one is complete rubbish and one can actually be done. You can just train your arms and get bigger arms.
Yeah, true. So we'll stay on body fat.
Yes. Yeah. Wait. So the myth is that if you want to get a toned midsection, if you want to have abs, that you should do lots and lots of crunches, and that will magically melt the fat away from that area, as though the fat is somehow used more just at that site.
Yeah, like it's interlaced into the muscles, and just work those muscles and it'll dissolve that fat.
And I can see how that sort of makes sense if you don't know human physiology, that it's like, okay, I want to work an area. Yeah. And it can be some misdirects on it, because if you do, for instance, get the muscles in your thighs firmer, there will be an overall appearance of more
the perception of more firmness and less body fat.
But the big thing is the business model is it's companies who are trying to sell a product, and it'll be the ab cruncher 10,000, it'll be something like that. They're just trying to sell.
I wish I remembered more of those names.
The names,
they're ridiculous.
And what they want to sell is something. What people want to buy is something that is easy,
7-minute abs.
It's fast, doesn't hurt, and you can do it while you're watching telly without getting a sweat up. That's kind of the.
If you look at the ads, most of them hit all those points.
Yeah, and so you can make a bunch of money. And so people buy it, and they then get mediocre results, and they stop doing it, and they often blame themselves as much as they blame the machine, because they didn't actually stick with it. But even if they had stuck with it, it wouldn't have worked, because it's not a very effective way.
Yeah, it's selling a fix to a problem that can't be solved like that.
Yeah.
It's a fake fix. Yeah.
And so there is such a thing as muscle tone. You can have a muscle that's really kind of soft and not been used much, and it's just atrophied, and you can have a full, strong muscle that's working. But that's not generally the problem.
Yeah, tone is a word that sort of annoys me a little bit as well, because tone is a combination of lack of body fat and increase in muscle mass.
Yeah.
It's kind of, how do I tone that area? Well, you need to increase the muscle mass, or the density of the muscle mass, or the strength of it, and then reduce the body fat. And so it's the ratio between the two.
And so it's an adjective. It's a describing word for an appearance. If you look toned, and most people want to look toned to a greater or lesser extent, because what toned actually means is defined.
Yeah.
You want to have some good muscle definition. Yep. Yeah. So that's the myth. The myth is that you work an area and that area is going to magically get really lean.
Yep.
And it couldn't be further from the truth. So how it works is firstly, if you work, what you want to do, if you're trying to achieve body fat, if you're trying to achieve body composition changes, what you want to actually do is work the biggest muscles to have the greatest expenditure of energy.
Yeah, because your body's fat storage, fat loss system is entire system. It's not just based on, I see you're not using your abs, I'll store fat there. It's very much genetic, so people will store fat in different ways in different places. Some people distribute evenly amongst their bodies, other people store it around their bums, some people will store it on their tummies, but it depends on diet, genetics, lifestyle, things like that, not just are you training that area.
So like if you said to me, Durham, you have to try and lose your tummy body fat, you're trying to get more ripped. But you have to do it via a resistance training exercise.
Yep.
I would do a squat or a core lift.
Yeah.
Because that's actually going to give the biggest demand. It's going to elevate my metabolism during it and also afterwards.
Yep.
So that's going to be the resistance training you need. So to get ripped abs, it's actually work your legs, glutes, and core.
Yeah. It's use as much muscle mass and lift heavy things and recruit big muscle fibers.
Yeah.
Because they're the metabolically challenged ones. They're the ones that burn heaps of energy and require a lot to recover as well. So you get that epoch effect.
Yeah, and in addition to that, not just to recover too, because they require a lot just to, if you create more muscle mass there, you've now got to feed that muscle mass.
You've got a high baseline,
Yeah.
So your body will be, through those muscles, will be using more energy just as a baseline. So your basal metabolic rate increases.
And you will get an elevation in growth hormone.
Yeah, and testosterone too.
Which will magically help. That is actually going to magically melt some fat. That's what it does. So there's that. But having said all that, that is actually still in many respects the low leverage way to get ripped.
Yeah, trying to train your way to toned and ripped is not the most efficient way to do it.
My favorite saying of all time when it comes to this stuff, abs are made in the kitchen, not the gym. I think that's really powerful idea.
And like people talk about 80-20 and 70-30 and ratios and stuff like that. Don't worry about the ratios. It's the fact that if you're missing the big rock of nutrition, and nutrition includes hydration and sleep, I think in that as well, like recovery processes in general. If you're missing that big rock, you can do all the sprints and all the core lifts and all the chin-ups.
Actually, let's separate it out. That's a really good point. So we'll talk about nutrition and we'll also talk about recovery because I got some good stories around that.
Because they all intertwine into making the training work. The training is the spark, but you need, I suppose, the kindling, the fuel of good nutrition for the things to work in the first place. Yeah,
it's just, and it's impossible to not do it. Like you've got to nail your nutrition, and a lot of people will overcomplicate that. I think, and we've got a couple of episodes on nutrition.
Yep, link those in.
But the basic thing is for the average person, stop doing the really dumb stuff.
Yeah, stop the self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Get rid of the sugar, get rid of the soft drink.
Mars bars, Big M, any form of Coke, whether it's Coke Zero or whatever.
Yeah, the artificial sweeteners, there's a whole thing there. We won't go into that today, but they're still, just because there's no calories there, the sweetening is still sending signals and messing with your insulin system. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah. So that's abs. So if you wanted to get a toned lean midsection, you eat really well. You do fasted cardio because you're going to burn like 300. So first thing in the morning, roll out of bed.
Yeah, go into fasted cardio a bit. It's an interesting concept. Some people, because for athletes, your goal with training, for the most part, is to get the maximum amount of performance into your training session. Yeah. So whether it's skill acquisition, power achieved, conditioning, whatever it might be. Speaking of abs. For those on the podcast, I'm just taking a jump off.
You can pixelate that, can't you?
I'll see what I can do.
No one wants to see that whiteness. I don't care if it's lean or if it's fat. You don't
want
to see the whiteness.
The start of string, not the end of string. But yeah, so fasted cardio is a fascinating concept. For athletes, though, in the gym, your goal is high performance. So you want to get maximum power, stuff like that. So training fasted in the gym is not ideal for those situations. Yeah. But if your goal is fat loss, and toning and aesthetic sort of more goals. Training fasted, even though your power output may be low because of the fatigue factor of not having carbs in the system, The fat burning benefit is huge.
Huge. Yeah. And because the difference is when you're training, so your body doesn't particularly want to burn body fat. Body fat is like superannuation.
Yeah, it doesn't want to build muscle or burn body fat because fat is survival mode and muscle is hard work to maintain.
Yeah. Because, like muscle is like there's a petrol crisis and it's adding to the size of your engine. It's like, no, I want
It's like, yeah, there's no fuel left, but let's go buy V8s. Exactly.
Yeah. And so, that's clearly a bad plan. So the cardio thing, if you're exercising at 7 o'clock at night and you're going for a run, what you're doing is you're going to preferentially burn the muscle burn the food, the glycogen that you've got stored. And the last thing the body's going to get to is going to be the fat. So it's as simple as that. If you're doing fasted cardio, so it's first thing in the morning, you've generally been fasted for 8 to 10 hours, depending on what time you eat and how much sleep you get. So your body just doesn't have anything else it's got nothing.
It's amazing how much glycogen you actually burn. People think of sleep as dead time, as in not burning much energy. But you actually burn through quite a bit of glycogen and quite a bit of energy stores over the course of the night. That's 8 to 10 hours of zero eating. So that's 8 to 10 hours of fasting. You can wake up pretty depleted.
Which is, from a fat burning point of view, is great.
It's fantastic. So you want to capitalize that, cash in, and do your cardio or your interval training then when you're already on an empty tank to sort of further eat into that fat stores and start burning some more fat.
Yeah. So first thing in the morning, fasted cardio, you'll be more consistent. You will burn you'll burn more body fat. If you've got out of bed at 6:30 in the morning, when you go to work and someone offers you donuts, you're vastly more likely to say, no thanks, I don't want to undo the work I did.
Yeah, there's a psychological trick of, I've already put in this work, I'm not going to undo it now.
It's so different. Like if you're training at 6 o'clock at night and someone offers you donuts, yeah, cool, I'm running tonight, that's fine, I'll burn that off. If you've run in the morning or biked or rode or whatever,
that concept's got to have a name. I wish I knew what it was. Some sort of an ordering thing or something.
I feel like Marnie Hay. Hi, Marnie. I feel like Marnie might know because it's a psychological thing. It's the
idea of sunk cost, like the idea that people will fight harder to keep money, to not lose money, than they will to win new money.
And I feel like it's that as it applies to exercise. Like you've got that investment. You've
already won the fitness. You already earned the fitness. You don't want to give it back up. Yeah.
So that's huge. So fasted cardio is really good, and I have done that forever. And a lot of people are quite intuitive about that. It feels better than, I don't feel like going for a run on a full tummy. That's pretty common. It took me a while to get around to fasted lifting because what I didn't like was it felt a lot harder at the start.
And you get gassed a bit quicker during the lift too.
Yeah.
Your body will adapt to that. Your body can fat adapt
controversial. For
layman's term. But your body can become a preferential fat burner or become more efficient at burning fat.
I know 100% mine's changed. Like now, so I've been fasted lifting for all year. And I definitely noticed at the start how hard it was and how hungry I get and how grumpy. Now I'm fine.
Yeah.
Your body just adapts. Probably if I were to then lift tomorrow, having had a huge amount of breakfast, I'd probably feel I'd be like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Or would you get that insulin crash?
Maybe I would.
Because insulin kind of blocks testosterone, back to our hormone stuff from last week.
Maybe.
Insulin and testosterone kind of compete a bit, and insulin sort of blocks your ability to create adrenaline and aggression sort of thing. So you might feel a little bit...
I might be
a little bit sleepy.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So fasted cardio is really beneficial. So if you're getting your exercise first thing in the morning, and it forces you to do the exercise first thing, which is the other part of the trick.
Get it over with.
Just get it done.
Yep.
Get it done and walk around feeling good all day because you've done it and you've ticked that box. Yeah, or
cross that out. Yeah. whichever is your preference.
So that's I guess the fat burning in general, and the tummy stuff is the particularly stubborn fat. That's what I want to talk about with the stress and with sleep.
Yeah, nice.
So a long time ago when I was doing personal training, so full head of hair.
Long hair too.
Long hair. Well, no, by that point it was a bit shorter.
I was a bit shorter.
It wasn't like the down here business. But it was a long time ago. And I have these interesting subsets of clients. You have people who you do your initial consult and you say to them, okay, you need to do this, this, and this to get great results. And they go, right, I'll do everything you say. And they just do it.
Yeah. Like robots almost.
Yeah, they're great. And then you would have people, and so they would, most of them would get really good results, not all of them. Then you'd have people that would do like a bit of what you said, but not that much, who would also get surprisingly good results often. Sometimes
Despite the lack of
they weren't
full investment.
Yeah. And then there was this group of people who would do everything I said, but would still get really indifferent results, really low responders.
Yeah, it's a sad, unfair game in this situation, isn't it?
Yep. But when I looked at that group of people, because I'm a little bit obsessive about working out what's working and what isn't, the common denominator was they were all storing fat around their midsection. That was their
So
fat storage
central
place.
adiposity.
Yep.
I think is a fancy term.
It is. And they were all it was like a Venn diagram of my highest stress people.
Right. So whether it's work stress or...
Yeah, they were low sleepers and they were highly stressed. So they had constantly elevated cortisol levels.
Gotcha.
So those are people who, if they had just actually slept for an extra hour, because remember the recovery, that would have probably been the trick. Or, interestingly, if they had taken the energy they were spending on worrying about the results and invested that energy into a meditation practice, they actually would have got much better results.
Or saunas.
Saunas. Yeah. Well, anything other than worrying about why not getting the results, like, well, because you're so wound up, your cortisol's up high, and cortisol blocks fat burn.
Yeah, because it's a muscle breakdown fat storage hormone. There's a famine on the way. Let's strip down the V8. Let's turn it into a hybrid.
Yeah.
And let's store some body fat so that because winter's on its way, kind of thing.
So it was really interesting. So as I went on, I would tend to coach people to just relax and follow the process. Don't expect it to all happen at once. Just follow your process of fasted cardio, pretty tidy eating, plenty of rest, and take a relaxed attitude to it. And those guys, the weight just falls off them. It's a thing where...
Relax for the same result.
Yeah. Relax for the same result. Or some Derek Sivers concept. You'll have to link the article.
Yeah, I'll link it to that. Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing to think of. Because I think people think it's really, really hard. And it is harder than not trying.
It's harder than watching Netflix and eating chocolate, yeah.
But it's not as hard as people make it out. It's actually if you take a strategic approach and go, okay, well, I'll just do these 3 things. It's not, and if you're patient, like your timeline should be, 6 to 12 months of, I'm going to do this to feel good, and I will quietly find body fat drops off.
And people have this conception, this misconception that people are always training like they're in a Navy SEALs or they're in a SWAT unit. Like every training is like insane CrossFit circuits and all this.
Or couch potato.
Yeah.
Binary.
It's like, no, sometimes you're just going through 3 sets of 10 of 6 exercises, doing roll and stretch.
I went for a fairly crappy run this morning. I ran 5K in like 26 minutes because my calf was a tiny bit sore.
Tight, yeah.
Just a little tight. And I was like, that's in the bank, that'll do.
Yeah, and Wednesday I did 30 minutes on the cross trainer watching a Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah, like it's not...
like I got sweaty, like I was a light sweat, but I could have gone so much harder. But coming off sickness, just wanted to get something, get the heart and lungs moving. Yeah, very mediocre. And it's just got to be consistent. Consistency beats intensity with this stuff.
Yeah. And if you can then build into having some intensity,
sure,
that's great as well. But,
you build to that
because people can take.
Sorry.
You say one thing and people are like, so you're saying no one should train intensely?
No, still train intensely, but it doesn't always have to be intense.
Yeah, not all the time.
It's a bit of a blend.
Can we talk about tuck shop arms?
Yes, triceps.
So all the time,
as they're sometimes known here in Australia.
All the time, people, and this is more a girl thing, and they'll get their arm out and they'll go, look, I've got these terrible tuck shop arms, right?
And they'll wobble them around.
And the thing is, unless you've got rigor mortis.
Unless you're dead.
Your arms, like I have...
Darren's got pretty lean arms. You're a very lean
person.
arms.
I'm a fat tummy, lean-armed person at the moment. But that still jiggles because it's muscle tissue. Like it's going... And then they go, look.
And they poke it and they vibrate it.
Yeah. The parts of your body that aren't bone, they jiggle.
Yeah, everything but bone wobbles.
And so that's not an appropriate standard.
Yeah.
If you are trying to track what you're doing, I think the best thing is just the simplest thing is belly button. Just line up a tape measure with your belly button Don't worry about the scales so much. They're really a big misdirect.
Yeah, because you actually kind of want your scales to stay the same while your waist comes down, really. That means you're adding muscle in the good spots and losing fat in the bad spot, basically.
Like if I was so I've over the course of the year got my act together, but if I was judging the scales, I would say I've gotten slightly worse because I'm a little bit heavier than I was at the start of this year, because I've put on a reasonable amount of muscle and dropped a moderate amount of fat.
Yeah.
And so the end result is actually I'm a little heavier than I was. But whereas the belly button measurement, had I done that, that would be showing. Well, I know it because I had to throw away pants.
Yeah, the pants test is really good too. Like, people are very obsessed with metrics with stuff, but it can be very simple. Are your pants looser or tighter than they normally are?
I've had to throw away a bunch of shorts. Some of my shorts look hilariously. It's like, wow, it's good. Interesting. So tone. So we should summarize.
Let's wrap it all up. Yeah.
The lean toned midsection comes from putting in hard work, so squats.
Sprinting's great. High intensity interval training. Train like an athlete, I think is a good summary. Athletes tend to have pretty good physiques. They run fast. They do agility work. They lift heavy weights. They do explosive interval training.
Train like an athlete and eat pretty well. Get plenty of sleep.
I like with eating the 80-20 rule. 80% of your eating should be like healthy and good. And then there's room for 1 or 2 meals a week where you relax a little. Because 80-20, like everyone's like, that means I get 2 days off a week. Well, no, actually, 2 days off a week is actually like 26%. So it's actually less than 2 days off.
So I do that. No, actually, no, I don't.
So I usually eat out on a Friday and sometimes on a Sunday. And then sort of more relaxed days. Every other day is pretty solid with the greens and the beans and stuff like that.
Yeah. Cool. So,
and then sleep, make sure you're getting, if you're an adult, 7 to 8 plus. If you're a kid, 8, 9 plus. Yeah. Ideally.
I think that's myth busted.
Yeah.
If you do have someone who, because what'll happen is people will listen to that. This makes sense. Then I'll try and explain to someone else. It's like you lose something in translation. Yeah. Often the example I would give to people is they talk about. I'd say, well, imagine, like if spot reduction was true, then tennis players would be shredded in one arm, like even kind of overweight tennis players. Yeah. Because there are some of them. Chubby tennis players would
have like amazing striated deltoids and
then the other side of the body would be all kind of
normal.
Normal. Not the case. Like it's the whole body. It's one system.